How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today I bring you yet another crazy story out of far leftist, extremist, liberal academia. The first story I did, which I'll place in the description box below, was about Rutgers University out there in New Jersey. They were alluding to the fact that grammar is racist, and if you judge Black and Hispanic students to the same academic standards on grammar as you do white and Asian students, then you're somehow racist. So we got to lower the bar so Black and Hispanics will be able to get over it, which is kind of insulting, which is actually very insulting to say that just because you're Black and Hispanic, you don't know grammar, you can't do grammar. But now we have another story. This time we're in Chicago, well, really the Chicagoland area, way out far north in Evanston, which is a suburb of Chicago. They are going to abolish history classes in K through 12 until there's a quote unquote suitable replacement. Now there's an article here. We got to read the article because you got to see the quotes. You got to get the full context of what's going on in this crazy story. And you see the article right on the screen before you. You see the headline. This is on NBC Chicago, by the way, and this link will be in the description box. So you know this is a real source. I'm not making it up. It's right here, right in front of your face. Chicago area leaders call for Illinois to abolish history classes. State Rep LaShawn K. Ford, that's him right here, said current history teachings overlook the contributions of women and minorities. Let's go back to this whole BIPOC thing they're trying to push. Black, indigenous, people of color. If you see BIPOC, that's what that means. This is kind of like in that whole sphere, that whole wave of wokeness in academia. They were already liberal, but then they're going to be liberal and woke on top of that. But let's continue with the article. Leaders in education, politics, and other areas gathered in suburban Evanston Sunday to ask that the Illinois State Board of Education change the history curriculum in schools statewide and temporarily halt instruction until an alternative is decided upon. Now, some would say that, oh, they're not going to abolish history classes. The article is clickbait. Well, I just read it right there. Temporarily halt instruction. What does that mean? They're not going to have any history classes until they can replace what we learn right now. You know, George Washington, Christopher Columbus, Abraham Lincoln, the Republican Party. They want to stop all that totally, not even tell your kids about it until they can replace it with a woke curriculum. But we're going to see what they say about the woke curriculum. At a news conference, State Rep LaShawn K. Ford said his current history teachings lead to a racist society and overlook the contributions of women and minorities. Before the event Sunday, Rep. Ford's office distributed a news release, quote, Rep. Ford today in Evanston to call for the abolishment of history classes in Illinois schools. So for those that want to say, oh, it's clickbait, ABL, it didn't say that. His own office released a document that says Rep. Ford today in Evanston to call for the abolishment of history classes in Illinois school. It's straight right there. You know what's going on. If they want to abolish history, they are going to replace it with whatever they want, which is this new woke version of history, and try and teach kids other things. And when I say teach, I mean indoctrinate. That's what's going on here. This is really out in the open and plain. The representative instead suggested that schools devote greater attention toward civics and ensuring students understand democratic processes. Quote, it costs us as a society in the long run forever when we don't understand our brothers and sisters that we live, work, and play with. I mean, what does that got to do with history? You talking about just like social stuff? Like that's nothing to do with, you know, George Washington, Christopher Columbus, American Revolution, Industrial Revolution, nothing to do with actual events that happened. You're talking about how to get along. I mean, holler at a guidance counselor or a therapist or your mama or your daddy, tell you how to share and play nice with other kids in the sandbox. This is not what you do when you want to abolish history classes and then replace it with something else. What he's saying right there is bogus. Really what it's about is just trying to, like I said, indoctrinate your children. And I continue with the article. The state representative is sponsoring a bill that will require elementary schools to teach students about the civil rights movement. Okay, so if I'm 5 years old, right, I'm in kindergarten, why am I learning about Martin Luther King and all like some of the details of civil rights? All right, I'm too young to even understand what's going on, right? Especially in a place like Chicago. Now, here's the thing about it. In Evanston, you pretty much good. You got people that kind of got some sense. But you go like to actual Chicago, like in the hood and in the south part or even on the west side, that's not going to be your most pressing issue. You got kids there that can't read at 5 and 6 years old. So shouldn't you be focused on, I don't know, reading, writing, and arithmetic, real basic skills at that age? You know, even like going to like second, third, you should learn more about that. Now, I knew about civil rights and stuff to a certain degree. I knew MLK was, but I didn't know the intricacies about civil rights. I couldn't understand that at a very young age. All right. And if you're going to focus on civil rights, that's fine, but don't abolish history. And if you teach civil rights, don't teach it in a skewed way. Don't try to talk about Martin Luther King not being the guy you should look up to and then put out guys like Malcolm X and whatnot. You know, don't go trying to teach ideology. Just teach history, period. So here's the full news release from his office. Rep for today in Evanston to call for the abolishment of history classes in Illinois schools. Concerned that current school history teaching leads to white privilege and a racist society, State Rep LaShawn K. Ford, Democrat, of course, Chicago, will join local leaders today at noon at the Robert Crown Center in Evanston to call on the state to stop its current history teaching practices until appropriate alternatives are developed. Quote, when it comes to teaching in history in Illinois, we need to end the miseducation of Illinoisans. Ford said, quote, I'm calling on the Illinois State Board of Education and local school districts to take immediate action by removing current history books. That sounds very familiar. Removing current history books. What you gonna do, burn them? Where did that happen before? I don't really know, but I digress. And curriculum practices that unfairly communicate our history. What does it even mean, unfairly communicate? Until a suitable alternative is developed, we should instead devote greater attention toward civics and ensuring students understand that our democratic processes and how they can be involved. I'm also alarmed that people continue to display symbols of hate, such as the recent display of the Confederate flag in Evanston. Oh, man. So we've gone from talking about abolishing history and all this and that, talking about racist society to Confederate flag. What does that got to do with things that actually happened? History should just be telling you, okay, this happened, that happened. It's not really rocket science here. What does it got to do with social issues that are happening outside? Nothing at all. As a matter of fact, I think that kids that don't get taught history are going to do things that are inappropriate, that are just kind of ignorant. You got people out there burning books. They don't even know what was going on in 1930s Germany. If they did know, maybe they'd think twice about burning books. Maybe they would understand what they're really doing when they burn books. You're burning ideology. You're trying to cleanse a nation of its identity and then have other people place their version of what the identity should be upon you as an average everyday citizen. That's what's going on. But I continue. Attendees at Sunday's press conference will discuss how current history teaching practices overlook the contributions by women and members of the Black, Jewish, LGBTQ communities and other groups. Just kind of just throw everybody in there, non-white groups, basically. These individuals are pushing for an immediate change in history changing practice starting for this school year. Quote, the miseducation of children must stop, said Malika Gardner of We Will. I have no idea what that is. Probably some liberally funded NGO type program. It is urgent that it comes to an end as we witness our current climate become more hostile. Miseducation is fed and continues to feed systemic racism for generations. If Black history continues to be devalued and taught incorrectly, then it will call for further action. Now, when you say Black history, what do you mean? Because I think we all know about Black history. We know about Martin Luther King. We know about slavery. We know about, the Negro Leagues. We know about a lot of different things. We know about Africa. We know about a lot. I mean, if you're going to be real with Black history, are we going to go back to the Dahomey Kingdom? Are we going to go back to Timbuktu? Are we going to go back to the Ashanti of Ghana that were selling slaves? Are we going to talk about that? Are we going to talk about how there were not only white slave holders in America, but also Black slave holders and also white slaves? Are we going to go and talk about some real history, or are we going to give a cherry-picked version that fits the woke standards of Malika Gardner of We Will and also the state rep out there in Evanston? What are we really doing here? Like I said before, it seems like indoctrination, not education. As it wraps on up here, Evanston Mayor Steve Haggerty notes, as mayor, I am not comfortable speaking on education, curriculum, and whether history lessons should be suspended. This is not my area. Personally, I support House Bill 4954 because I'm interested in learning more and believe the history of Black people should be taught to all children and include all groups. Women, Latinx, and Native Indians who helped build America. It's some interesting choices of capitalization. I think AP put out a thing that says they're going to capitalize Black when referring to Black people, but not white when referring to whites. So, I mean, what's really going on here? Are we just trying to attack certain groups? Are we saying that in order to uplift a group, you got to attack the other? That seems very familiar, very scary. Okay, so you read that, you heard all that. Now, this is what the left are doing. This is why it's very important. People say, oh, left wing, right wing, same bird. No, 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 no. Especially not on a local level. You see, Trump's not going to be involved in stuff like this in Evanston. Not really, unless it violates some kind of federal law. Okay, that's going to be up to those that are out there in Evanston, in Chicago, in Illinois. It's up to them. And you got this state rep in there. I mean, you got lawmakers trying to pass things, trying to do things that are going to affect you and your children. So whenever you can vote, whether it's a primary, general election, midterm, the 4-year presidential, vote all the time, please, and vote the right way. And if you are leaving a particular area, like let's say California, right? And you want to go to Texas, you want to go to Florida, you want to go somewhere else, do not bring the California way with you, please. People don't understand what they're doing when they do it. They think, oh, well, I like this guy. He's nice. I met his wife and his kids are nice, so I'm going to vote for him. Meanwhile, this guy's going to push abolishing history, abortion on demand up until 9 months after the baby is born. You got to think about what you're doing when you go out there and vote. Don't just vote blindly. Become educated about what's happening, and don't let these nut jobs like LaShawn Ford come in there and try to abolish history and then impute wokeness into your child and into your children. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that they're going to abolish history in Chicago and Evanston, whatever it is? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. How do you feel about them trying to do this? Is it about indoctrination, or is it about proper education? Whatever your thoughts on that are, let me know in the box. You know where I stand. They're trying to indoctrinate. This is a big problem. And then my question would be, does it apply to public schools only, private schools, charter school? What if you homeschool? Is that going to be pushed on you? How are they really going to get this out there? What's going to be the method through which this whole thing is implemented? Is it going to be illegal to teach children history? Are they going to do a good old-fashioned book burning? Are they going to torch a library down that has proper history books in it? If kids have books right now that they're being taught from, where are they going to go? They're going to get thrown away, burnt up. What's going to happen? I feel like this is all too familiar. This is not new. This is not woke. This is not trendy. This is not anything. This is old school stuff coming back around because people that are implementing it don't understand history themselves. Rather than abolishing history, you should bolster it and improve it to include more things. Don't change what's on the books now. Don't remove things. Say they want to abolish things because it's so-called racist. No, no, no. Just add everything. Don't leave out anything. I don't care if you like it, don't like it. Put everything in there so then we get money. But focus on the most important things so kids can understand what's happening right now and what has been done before. Because if you do not know history, you shall be doomed to repeat it. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.